Have you ever caught yourself buying things you didn't really need? Maybe a new gadget, a pair of shoes, or that extra cup of coffee, even when your bank account is politely, or sometimes very loudly, telling you to stop. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. In fact, 70% of adults report buying things they later regret at least once a week. Every single day, millions of people make purchases they didn't plan for. Some do it out of habit, some because it feels good in the moment, and some without even realizing what's happening. By the end of this video, you will understand why your brain tricks you into overspending, the emotional triggers you never notice, and most importantly, what small actionable steps you can take to finally take control of your spending habits. Along the way, we'll explore real-life stories, uncover hidden patterns, and reveal strategies that can rewire the way you think about money. Overspending rarely starts with a big purchase. It begins with tiny, almost invisible moments. A phrase like, "It's just $5," or "I'll save tomorrow," or "I deserve this," can set a chain reaction in motion. Sarah buys a latte every morning. It feels harmless, but at the end of the month, she realizes she has spent over $100 just on coffee. Meanwhile, James scrolls through online shops after a stressful day at work. One click leads to another, and soon he has items in his cart he never even intended to buy. These patterns are not about money alone. They're about how your brain reacts to emotional and psychological triggers. Overspending also hides digitally, through small subscriptions, impulsive purchases, and delivery meals that feel convenient at the time, but add up to significant expenses. For instance, Emma never thinks twice about buying a $10 ebook or a $15 online course. Individually, it seems small, but by the end of the year, these purchases have quietly drained hundreds of dollars from her account. The key to understanding overspending is recognizing it as a behavioral pattern. Psychologists note that our brain often repeats the same mental loops over and over, especially when emotions are involved. Our habits, learned from childhood and shaped by environment, often influence these behaviors without our conscious awareness. Take childhood, for example. If you grew up in a household where money was scarce, you might overspend now as an adult simply because having access to money feels like freedom. On the other hand, if money was used as a reward or a source of comfort when you were young, your brain might have learned to associate purchases with positive emotions. Suddenly, stress or sadness triggers the same automatic response, a desire to buy something. Overspending also varies from person to person. Some individuals make impulsive large purchases, a new phone, upgrading a laptop, or a spontaneous vacation. Others overspend subtly, buying small items daily, subscribing to services they rarely use, or grabbing delivery food when they could cook at home. The important realization is that overspending is rarely about the item itself. It is about how your brain responds to stimuli, emotions, and social influence. It's about instant gratification and dopamine. Each purchase gives a small temporary feeling of pleasure. Over time, these dopamine bursts train the brain to seek similar rewards again and again, often without conscious thought. Now think about your own spending habits. Do you notice patterns? Are there moments when you spend more, maybe during stressful periods, late at night, or after scrolling social media feeds? Observing these habits is the first step toward regaining control. In this video, we will break down these patterns into understandable segments, showing you exactly why your brain drives you to overspend, the emotional triggers you never notice, and most importantly, what small, actionable steps you can take to finally take control of your spending habits. Along the way, we'll explore real-life stories, uncover hidden patterns, and reveal strategies that can rewire the way you think about money. Now that we've explored how overspending often begins with tiny, almost invisible habits, let's dive deeper into what actually drives these behaviors, the emotional triggers, and the dopamine loop. Overspending rarely happens without a reason. Every purchase, big or small, is linked to an emotion, whether we consciously recognize it or not. Stress spending. When you're stressed, your body releases cortisol, a hormone that signals your brain to seek relief. Shopping becomes an instant escape. Imagine coming home from a tough day. You open an online store and see items that catch your eye. Your brain whispers, just this once, it will make you feel better. And for a few minutes it does. But the relief is fleeting. The emotional high is temporary. And soon the stress returns, sometimes stronger than before. Loneliness spending. Then there's spending triggered by loneliness or emotional emptiness. Buying something can feel like filling a void, like getting a temporary companion or comfort. Late-night online shopping often happens when emotions peak and distractions fade. People scroll through stores, add items to the cart, and buy them, seeking a momentary sense of connection or purpose. Boredom spending is another powerful trigger. When life feels monotonous, your brain craves stimulation. A scroll through an online store, a glance at trending products, even random ads provide an instant spark of excitement. Those small purchases feel like rewards, little bursts of novelty breaking the dull routine of the day. Reward spending is subtle yet impactful. Think about the phrases we use. I worked hard, I deserve this. Or, it's a treat for myself. There's nothing inherently wrong with rewarding yourself, but when these rewards become frequent, the brain expects them, forming a habit. What started as a treat can become an automatic response to stress, sadness, or even a normal day at work. Anxiety spending is perhaps the least obvious trigger. When you feel anxious, the brain seeks control. Buying something offers a short-term feeling of achievement or resolution. Even if nothing in real life has changed, it tricks your mind into believing that control is regained through spending. The dopamine loop. All these triggers work because of dopamine, the brain's feel-good chemical. Each purchase gives a short burst of pleasure. This creates a loop. You feel bad, you buy, you feel good, and then the crash happens, only to repeat the cycle. Your brain doesn't distinguish between essential and non-essential items. It simply chases the reward. Consider Alex, who noticed he spent $50 to $100 weekly on small gadgets and snacks. He felt temporary joy with each purchase, but within days he felt regret and guilt. Without realizing it, Alex was trapped in a dopamine loop. The more he spent, the more he needed to feel good. Social influence and comparison. Our environment amplifies these triggers. Social media, peer pressure, and cultural expectations make overspending almost inevitable. Seeing friends flaunt their latest gadgets, outfits, or experiences triggers FOMO, the fear of missing out. Your brain interprets their enjoyment as a signal that you need the same. This silent influence subtly hijacks your spending decisions, often without you noticing. Emotional spending feels automatic. The critical insight is that emotional spending bypasses logic. When emotions rise, stress, boredom, loneliness, anxiety, the rational part of your brain shuts down. Decisions are made emotionally. And until you identify your triggers, the cycle continues, almost automatically. By observing these patterns in your own life, you can start noticing the triggers. Pay attention. When do you scroll online without thinking? When do you make impulsive purchases late at night? What emotions were you feeling?
Recognizing these emotional drivers is the first step toward taking back control. But awareness alone isn't enough, because even when people know they're overspending, they still do it. Why? Because emotional spending is automatic. It doesn't ask for permission, it doesn't wait for logic. It acts fast, often faster than you realize. And that's where the next layer comes in. Your environment, your habits, and your internal narrative. Let's break these down, one by one, so you can see exactly how overspending hides in plain sight. The hidden narratives that shape your spending. Every person carries an internal script, a quiet voice that whispers explanations for every purchase. Sometimes it says things like, "It's on sale, so I'm actually saving money." "Life is short, enjoy the moment." "Everyone else has it, so I should too." "It's just one time, I'll make up for it later." These stories are powerful because they don't feel like excuses. They feel like logic, but they're not. They are emotional justifications wrapped in logical language. And most people don't even notice when these narratives take control. Your environment is designed to make you spend. Think about where you spend the most money. Online stores, social media feeds, food delivery apps. streaming platforms, subscription-based services, shopping malls. None of these environments were built to serve you. They were designed to capture attention and convert emotion into spending. A simple example. You open a food delivery app just to look around. Within seconds, you see discounts, limited time offers, flash sales. Only 2 left. Order now for 20% off. This isn't coincidence. It's psychological design. Your brain interprets urgency as importance. Your emotions interpret it as opportunity. And together, they tell you to buy, even when you don't need to. The social pressure you don't notice. Ask yourself this. Have you ever bought something because someone else had it? Maybe a gadget, a perfume, a pair of shoes, a restaurant meal you saw online, or even a travel package. You may think, no, I buy what I like. But studies reveal the opposite. Humans are biologically wired to mirror the behavior of their group. If you see friends posting new phones, influencers traveling, co-workers wearing expensive clothes, people sharing aesthetic shopping hauls, your brain interprets it as a social signal. This is normal. This is expected. This is success. And suddenly, your spending isn't about the item anymore. It's about identity, belonging, and acceptance. Emotional spending doesn't feel emotional. Here's the tricky part. When you're buying emotionally, you usually don't feel emotional. You feel calm, neutral, almost automatic. Why? Because emotional spending often kicks in during low energy states. You're tired, you're drained, you're mentally overloaded. You're not motivated. You're trying to escape a moment. These states shut down your logical brain. Your emotional brain quietly takes the wheel. That's why hours later you think, why did I even buy this? The decision wasn't made by the thinking version of you. It was made by the emotional version. Your brain loves patterns, even bad ones. Once your brain discovers that spending provides quick relief, it repeats the cycle. Your mind begins to connect stress equals buying, boredom equals scrolling, loneliness equals ordering food, sadness equals self-reward, frustration equals upgrading something, insecurity equals buying something that boosts identity. And before you know it, these patterns become unconscious. You're not making choices. You're following scripts. Scripts written by childhood, emotions, environment, culture, social media, marketing, fear, comparison, stress, habit. To break the cycle, you must rewrite the script piece by piece. Why most people fail to fix overspending? It's not because they're irresponsible, not because they're disciplined, and definitely not because they don't know how to save. People fail because they tried to fix the symptom, not the root cause. They tell themselves, I will stop impulsive buying. I will create a budget. I will cut down expenses. No more unnecessary purchases. But none of these work because they fight the wrong enemy. Overspending isn't about money. It's about mindset, emotions, coping mechanisms, subconscious triggers, habit loops, psychological conditioning. When the emotional driver remains, the spending continues. Budgeting alone doesn't work if your brain is still wired to seek relief through purchases. Let's go deeper. The real roots of overspending. There are 3 major drivers that shape long-term spending behavior. 1. Identity triggers. Your brain buys what matches the story you tell about yourself. For example, I deserve good things. I want to look successful. I want to feel modern. I'm a tech person. I'm a fashion person. I'm a foodie. Identity-based spending is powerful because the purchase feels like self-expression. 2. Emotional comfort. Purchases provide temporary emotional relief, not happiness, relief. And relief is addictive. 3. Psychological blind spots. These include scarcity mindset, self-sabotage, perfectionism, fear of missing out, childhood money trauma, low self-worth, guilt-driven spending, stress habits. Most people never identify these blind spots, so they stay stuck. A moment of reflection. Right now, pause and think. Just think, no judgment. When do you spend the most? What were you feeling right before spending? Who influences your purchases? What beliefs from childhood shape your money habits? What emotional triggers show up the most? Does spending make you feel powerful or in control or relieved? These questions reveal everything, because once you see the pattern, you can break the pattern. Now that we understand the emotional and psychological roots, let's move to something incredibly important: how companies intentionally manipulate your mind to overspend, and how understanding these tricks will instantly weaken their power over you. Because once you understand how companies intentionally manipulate your spending behavior, your awareness becomes a shield, and suddenly the tricks that worked on you for years begin to lose their power. Let's dive into the next layer, a layer most people never even notice: how companies train your brain to spend more. You might think you're making your own decisions, but the truth is, stores, both online and offline, have spent billions designing systems that bypass your logic and tap directly into your impulses. Here's how they do it. Number 1, the illusion of choice. When you walk into a store or open an app, you see hundreds of options. It feels like you're choosing. But in reality, the choices have already been engineered to push you toward specific items. The most profitable products are placed right at eye level. The items with the most emotional appeal show up first. Limited time offers are placed where your eyes land naturally. Colors, layouts, and buttons are designed to trigger instant desire. Every scroll, swipe, and click has been optimized to shift you closer to a purchase. You think you chose it, but in many cases, the interface chose for you. Number 2, the one more thing strategy. Ever notice how apps show, add this for just $3 more? People also bought, recommended for you. This is not convenience. This is calculated psychology. Your brain is more likely to buy one more thing after it has already decided to buy something. It's called the commitment momentum effect. Your brain says, I'm already buying, so one more doesn't matter. This tiny thought quietly doubles spending. Number 3, the countdown timer trick. You've seen it. Only 2 hours left. Last chance. Warning, only 5 items remaining. This creates dopamine-driven urgency. Your brain goes into survival mode. If I don't buy now, I might regret it. What if the deal disappears? What if someone else gets it first? Suddenly, the logical part of your mind, the one that evaluates whether you actually need the item, gets pushed aside. Urgency hijacks rationality. Number 4, personalized ads that know your weak spots. Companies don't guess what you want. They track everything: your search history, your scrolling habits, your watch time, the items you click, the time of day you spend the most, even your emotional patterns based on behavior. If you scroll longer at night, they'll show more emotional ads at night. If you buy more when you're stressed, the algorithm learns that too. This is why sometimes you see an ad and think, wow, this is exactly what I needed. It's not coincidence. It's emotional targeting. Number 5, the free shipping trap. One of the most effective psychological tricks ever invented. You might not need anything else, but the moment you see add $6 for free shipping, you start browsing again. Your brain hates the idea of paying extra for shipping, even though buying something unnecessary costs more. You don't save money, you spend more. But emotionally, it feels like a smart decision. Number 6, the convenience loop. Modern apps make spending so easy that your brain barely notices you've spent anything. Just think, one click to buy, one swipe to order food, one tap to subscribe, saved cards for instant checkout, auto-renewing subscriptions. Spending feels frictionless. And when something feels easy, you do it more often. That's how overspending becomes invisible. Number 7, the social proof trick. Reviews aren't just reviews. They're psychological triggers. When you see 4.9 rating, 2,500 reviews, trending now, bestseller, your brain interprets social approval as trust. Even if you didn't need the item, you start thinking, well, everyone else likes it, so it must be good. This isn't logic, it's biology. Humans follow the tribe instinctively. The moment you realize these tricks, everything changes. Because once you notice manipulation, your brain shifts from automatic mode to awareness mode. And awareness breaks the spell. It's like seeing the behind the scenes of a magic trick. You can't unsee it. From now on, whenever you shop, online or offline, you'll notice these triggers. Urgency, limited stock, social proof, personalized ads, free shipping threshold, one-click purchases. And instead of falling for them, your brain will pause and ask, do I actually need this? Or am I being nudged? That single moment of awareness can save people hundreds, even thousands every year. But we're just getting started. Now that you understand your emotional triggers, your psychological patterns, and the manipulation tactics around you, it's time to move into the most important part of the entire video. How to break the overspending cycle, slowly, silently, and permanently, without feeling restricted, guilty, or deprived. If you're ready, I'll continue with the practical strategies, the mind rewiring techniques, and the real-life examples that make the change effortless. Practical strategies and mind rewiring. Now that you understand the emotional triggers, dopamine loops, and the subtle manipulations that encourage overspending, it's time for the part that truly changes the game. Practical strategies you can apply immediately. Strategies that rewire your brain to take control of your spending without feeling deprived. If you're ready, I'll continue with the practical strategies, the mind rewiring techniques, and the real-life examples that make the change effortless. Practical strategies and mind rewiring. Now that you understand the emotional triggers, dopamine loops, and the subtle manipulations that encourage overspending, it's time for the part that truly changes the game. Practical strategies you can apply immediately. Strategies that rewire your brain to take control of your spending without feeling deprived. 1. Awareness is your superpower. The first and simplest step is awareness. Start noticing your triggers in real life. When do you scroll online without thinking? When do you feel a sudden urge to buy? Which emotions are present at that moment? Stress, boredom, loneliness, or anxiety? Even just writing it down can make a huge difference. When Alex, from our earlier example, started tracking every small impulse purchase, he discovered patterns he'd never noticed before, like buying snacks late at night after watching TV. Awareness turns automatic spending into a conscious choice. 2. Pause before every purchase. Here's a simple but powerful trick. The 24-hour rule. Feeling the urge to buy something non-essential? Wait 24 hours before completing the purchase. Your brain's emotional spike will pass, and often you realize you didn't need it at all. Even a 5-minute pause works for smaller purchases. That pause is a mental reset, a moment where logic returns to guide your decision. 3. Budgeting without feeling restricted. Forget complicated spreadsheets or rigid budgets. Instead, try flexible spending categories. Essentials, rent, groceries, bills. Wants, small treats, hobbies. Savings and investments. Allocate money to your wants category, guilt-free. The key, you're allowed to spend, but intentionally, not emotionally. Emma from our earlier story started giving herself a $50 weekly fun money budget. She no longer felt guilty buying small items because they were already planned. 4. Automate savings before spending. Out of sight, out of mind. Set up automatic transfers to a savings or investment account before you even think about spending. This reduces temptation because the money is gone before your impulses kick in. Your brain adjusts, and soon spending smaller amounts feels natural. Even $20 to $50 per week compounds over time and gives you a sense of achievement that replaces the temporary dopamine of buying unnecessary things. 5. Make spending harder, not easier. Friction is your friend. Small obstacles can stop impulsive purchases. Remove saved cards from apps. Turn off one-click purchasing. Log out of online stores after browsing. Unsubscribe from marketing emails. Every small step that slows down instant gratification gives your rational brain time to say, do I really need this? 6. Use emotional substitutes. Remember, much of overspending is emotional. Instead of reaching for shopping, try alternative emotional rewards. Stress, exercise, short walk, deep breathing.
Loneliness? Call a friend, join a community. Boredom? Read, learn a skill, creative hobby. Anxiety? Journaling, planning, mindfulness. The brain still gets the dopamine, but without draining your bank account. 7. Reflect on every purchase. Before completing any purchase, ask yourself 3 questions. Do I really need this? Will I use it in a meaningful way? How will I feel tomorrow about buying it? This simple reflection slows down impulsive spending and helps you align purchases with your true priorities. 8. Celebrate small wins. Finally, recognize progress. Every week you successfully avoid an unnecessary purchase or stick to your budget, celebrate it. Not with shopping, but with small, positive rituals. A walk, a coffee at home, reading a favorite book. Celebrating small wins reinforces the habit loop in a healthy way, replacing the dopamine spikes that previously came from overspending. Your brain can rewire. Here's the most encouraging part. Your brain is plastic. It can rewire itself. Emotional triggers will still appear. Ads and manipulations will still try to push you.